So a very good evening to one and all. Today our next chapter we are going to start for class 8th, that is reproduction in plants. So what is reproduction? When we are talking about reproduction, reproduction simply means the process of continuing the race. That is how the race will be continued, how the species will continue its race. For example, let us take an example of a seed, apple seed. Now when we will sow the apple seed in the soil, it will grow a apple tree only. It will not grow a mango tree. It means the species will be continued for the apple tree, not for the mango tree. That is what reproduction means. It is a process of continuity of the races of a particular species. Now, if an organism cannot reproduce, the organism cannot continue its race, its species will be extinct from the earth. Now, there are various way of reproduction. One is asexual, another one is sexual. Before going to the asexual and sexual mode of reproduction, firstly, we need to know that what is gametes. Gametes are sex cells. Gametes means sex cells. Now, what are these sex cells? Sperm in human male and ovum in human female. Similarly, in plants also, when we are talking about sperm and ovum, sperm means the male sex cell and ovum means the female sex cell. Now, let us start the topic. The topic carries, first of all, the sexual reproduction. So what is sexual reproduction? Sexual reproduction is the process where sperm will fuse with the ovum and it will create a new embryo. The embryo will grow into a baby and then it will grow into an adult. Similarly, asexual reproduction. What is asexual reproduction? There will be no fusion up of the gametes. There will be no fusing up of gametes. Only one parent will reproduce. Only one parent will reproduce of its own kind. That's why in asexual reproduction, the organism will be exact copy of the parent. The newly formed organism will be the exact copy of the actual parents. Having said this, let us talk about asexual reproduction and its kinds. So what is asexual reproduction? How does it is having a well grip in the plants? So with this note, we'll be starting the chapter, and I'm having the book of class 8 with me, reproduction in plants. So types of reproduction we have already discussed, asexual and sexual mode of reproduction. When we will turn the page, that is in page number 30, we can find asexual reproduction in plants. So asexual reproduction in plants is basically having different types. So first 4 types are binary fission, budding, fragmentation and spore formation. First of all, we'll go through binary fission. What happens in binary fission? Let us assume a single cell amoeba. When the amoeba will start to divide, first its nucleus will divide. Then slowly the body of the amoeba will divide. How? The nucleus will first start to divide and its body will slowly break up into 2. Means one amoeba will become 2. Then again, this 2 amoeba will develop into adult. Their nucleus will also divide. Then their cell will also divide. So 2 will become 4. 4 will become 8, 16, 32. Like that. So what happens in binary fission? The nucleus will prepare the cell division. First, the nucleus will divide, which will allow the body of the amoeba to divide. Since we know the amoeba is an unicellular organism, so it is having only one nucleus, but its body will be divided into 2. How? Because the nucleus will disintegrate and finally the body of the amoeba will form 2. One nucleus, but at the same time the one nucleus will divide to form 2. Finally the cell will divide and cell will be separated. I hope it's clear to you. Apart from binary fission, there is one more part, multiple fission. The malarial parasite germ is reproducing by multiple fission. What happens here? The protozoa, the parasite, malarial parasite, the protozoa will form a cyst above itself. On itself, it will form a cyst. Cyst means the covering on the cellular organism, the covering on the unicellular organism. Now, what happens here? When the covering of the unicellular organism will take place, that is the cyst will actually protect the inside organism. So the inside organism will be well protected. Now what happened? Inside only the process of reproduction takes place. Now why this cyst produces? This cyst is produced due to the adverse weather condition. And as soon as the favorable weather condition will set in, the cyst will rupture to provide many organisms. Now, the single parasite, the single protozoa of malarial parasite will have a cyst covering. Inside the cyst, the process of multiple fission will be going on. During this process, what will happen? When the adverse weather condition takes place, the cyst will form. During the favorable weather condition, the cyst will break. And finally, what will happen? The inside organisms will come out. Unicellular organisms. I hope it is clear to you. Next is budding. What happens in budding? The yeast. Yeast is a unicellular organism. What happens to the yeast? When the yeast grow to a considerable size, a small bird kind of structure will produce in its body. Along with the growth of the parent yeast, the bird will also grow. Finally, the bird will detach from the body of the yeast. And that single bird will grow into a newly formed organism. I hope it's clear. Next one is fragmentation. What happens in fragmentation? In fragmentation, the body of the organism, let's say the good example of fragmentation is a spirogyra. What happens? The body of the spirogyra will be break into several pieces. Let's say 2 or 3 pieces. That 2 or 3 small pieces of spirogyra will grow into an adult. And finally, the fragmentation process is also a successful one. Last one is the spore formation. Have you seen bread? The bread which is available in the market, different brands are selling like Moorish and all. So those brands of bread, when we are keeping it at home during the damp conditions and we are not using the bread, we are not consuming it. During the damp conditions, especially in the rainy seasons and in the mild winter seasons, what happens is, those bread, after not using it and after one fine day we are just unboxing the pack and we are taking a single piece of bread, we can find a foul smell, a rotten smell, as well as we can find a small spot things are there. Some kinds of spots. Sometimes it is green in color, sometimes it is blackish, sometimes it is what we can say like whitish blue in color. Those dots. Actually, those dots, on being studied under the microscope, was found that this is actually fungus. And how this fungus forms? This fungus forms when the sporangiophore, means the length of the fungus, the hypha of the fungus. Now, what is the hypha of the fungus? Hypha of the fungus is that structure of the fungus which helps the fungus to absorb the nutrient. So here what happens? The sporangiophore, that is the hypha of the fungus, will grow properly, means erectly. It will be very much horizontally erect. And finally, it will have one round sporangium, or sporangio. We can say it sometimes sporangio also. Sometimes we can say it sporangio also, or basically we are saying it as sporangium. More technically, sporangium. The literature term is sporangio also, we can say. So when this sporangiophore will grow, it will when the sporangiophore will grow, it will form one spore kind of round structure that is known as sporangium. That sporangium, on become mature, it will burst and it will throw the spores. Those spores, on getting the favorable condition, again will grow into the sporangium or sporangiophore. Means the basic story is that when the sporangiophore will grow, it will have a round structure known as sporangium or sporangio. This sporangium or sporangio, when it will burst, the spores will come out, and when the spore will get a good favorable condition, that time it will again grow into a sporangiophore, and again finally one sporangium or sporangio will be present at the top of it. Now, having said this, these are the main techniques of the asexual reproduction which is taking place in the unicellular organisms, as well as generally the main basic part of the asexual reproduction. To understand the asexual reproduction, we must go through this 4 parts. Then automatically we will understand that there is only one parent is responsible for it, 2 parents are not present. I guess it's clear to you. Our next topic is vegetative propagation. What do we mean by vegetative propagation? Vegetative propagation means reproducing of the plants or reproduction in the plants without using any sexual organ. Means only the vegetative parts will be involved, like stem, leaves and roots. Seeds won't be involved for the process of reproduction. That is known as vegetative propagation. So vegetative propagation, like potato, we can see in the home, no? Sometimes if you might have observed that when the potato is kept for a long time, you can see that some white color of patches formed in the potato. Out of that, some green kind of things are coming out. That is known as tuber. If at all you will take that potato and you will grow it, you can get 4 or 5 potato out of one potato, for sure. Similarly, the ginger also. The ginger is having nodes and internodes where the buds are present. Now, when you are just putting the ginger in the under the soil, then automatically you will find that after few days the ginger will grow. That parent ginger will grow numerous young gingers. That gingers we can use it. So these are the vegetative propagation, means utilizing of the vegetative parts only. I repeat, only the vegetative parts will be used. That is root, stems and leaves. Only root, stems and leaves. Seed won't be used in the vegetative propagation. Only the vegetative part will be used. So this much till here today. Next class will be going to the next topic. I hope you will understand this. Please go through the video for the proper explanation of the chapter.